I have taught English for 19 years. So it's going to be my 20th year this year. Okay, I'm actually old. Yes. Yeah, I'm an experienced teacher, and I have joined this school since 2008. So in 2012, we started introducing self-regulated learning. But by the way, do you know what self-regulated learning is? Not exactly. So we got some ideas from mainland China as well, 自主学习. But the context is different. Some of the elements is different, and that's why today we learn together, we share together, and in Hong Kong, I'm sure that when you attend Alice's lesson, you will find that it's very interactive, because we want to co-construct knowledge together. Okay, the co-construction of knowledge is a trend in Hong Kong. So it's not just me who delivered everything to you, but at the same time, I hope that through our interaction and exchanges, we can co-construct the knowledge together, and we can try to find what teaching excellence is and what self-regulated learning is. Okay? Teachers were very outstanding. And what did they do at that time? The second question is, maybe we get the term self-regulated learning, right? But what are they? If you have to introduce elements of self-regulated learning, so what kind of elements will there be in your lessons? Okay? Now, I give you 3 minutes. You can write down in the spaces in the worksheets or use your notebook, whatever, tablet, iPad, devices, to put down some of the ideas first. It's important to brainstorm ideas before we start. I'll give you 3 minutes to think about these 2 questions. Okay, now even if you haven't finished, it's perfectly fine. Now, I'm going to ask you to share in your group, maybe 2 to 3 people in a group. I'm going to use the thinking routines here, same, different, and engage. Okay, when you share these 2 questions, can you see any similarities here between you guys? Okay? Any differences between you and your peers? And then while you are sharing, do you have any questions in mind that you guys want to solve them? Okay? So I give you 3 minutes to discuss in pairs or in a group of 3. And then after that, when you finish your sharing, you have to get the consensus, what teaching excellence is and what elements of SRL are. And then try to find one person to use a marker to write down some keywords on the board. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You can start now. Discuss with your group. So 3, 2, maybe you 3 together. Okay, and you 3 together. Please discuss together. Thank you. 3 minutes. You may start now. Then I try to find out some similarities first before I show you what I find out. From different perspectives. So first of all, you can see that I can see a lot of things about engagement. We try to engage our students, right? So we try to have a lot of activities in our lessons. At the same time, you have to have motivation. We try to motivate our students, right? We want to motivate our students so that they can be more engaged, or they can be more engaged so that they have more motivation, okay? And clear objectives and instructions. So it's about teacher. Okay? And now they have some critical thinking and they can apply. Okay, so students not just learn, but they have to apply. Here, What about elements of SRL? I can see the word reflection quite often. And there should be some self-learning. Self. Because of the word self-regulated learning. Have you learned about the theories of self-regulation? Not yet. Okay. Now, you can see, of course, we have feedback. We need feedback so that they can have some improvement. Okay, they can improve their learning performance because they have feedback. Do you see that? They can have reflection so that they can also improve their performance. And it's always student-centered and inclusive so that we can engage. We engage our students so that everyone can be included, right? And the lesson should be student-centered so that they can be more engaged. You can see there is some relationship between teaching excellence and self-regulated learning. And I'm going to show you here. Teaching excellence in the eyes of students and teachers. Now, characteristics of teaching excellence. First of all, I asked ChatGPT. Yes, it gives me 5 words. The first word is clarity. The teachers should be very clear. Clear logic and instruction. Okay? They can deliver, the teachers can deliver the knowledge very clearly. Second, engagement. Right? It's our common understanding. When we want to have teaching excellence, when we go for teaching excellence, the lesson should be very engaging. Knowledge. We can deliver the knowledge, very clearly. At the same time, the teachers should be very knowledgeable, right? Adaptability, what does that mean? We can include our students based on the needs of the students. We can adapt our lessons. And feedback. Now, we can give feedback to the students so that they can improve their learning performance. Now, this is from ChatGPT. And I asked this question of teaching excellence to all my panel members in my school, and then we try to summarize some key points from 9 teachers in Hong Kong. The first one, clear lesson objectives. What do you want to teach? Okay, when we teach argumentative essays, there are lots of aspects, but you cannot deal with everything in one lesson, right? So if you have to focus on one, then that is your lesson objective. Second, student-centered. You try to engage your students by a lot of activities, but be careful. Sometimes having some silence time, thinking time is good. Don't pack your lessons with lots of activities, even though they are very student-centered. Okay? And the activities that are centered to the students should address the lesson objectives. Okay? Learners' diversity. You try to include every student. Then you have to think of different levels of students and also their learning styles. Some need to walk and learn. Some need to listen. Some need to see, right? Display of learning. What does that mean? When you share it, it's not just verbally you share everything, but try to make them visible. Okay? When students are having discussion, do you know that they are really discussing? Sometimes no, right? But if you ask them to produce some work, then they are forced to do so. Do you see what I mean? Okay? At least they have to spend some time, maybe not all the time, to engage in your discussion. But then they know that, okay, Mr. Wong will ask me to come out and write down something. Then I need to come up with something. That is display of learning. Purposeful task design. Why do we design that task? What is the purpose? How can we design a task that address the lesson objective? When I talk about teaching excellence, I just focus on one thing, teaching excellence. Then think of the task that is about teaching excellence. Okay? If I show you, if I design a task, if I want to teach argumentative essay, but then I design a task that is about story writing. That is not relevant, right? Okay, so frontline teachers see that. If you were a teacher before, have you ever asked your students what teaching excellence is like? What good lessons are like? Have you ever collected any data from the student? No. Oh, when we talk about data, we think about Alan. Oh, we need a research project. Having $1 million investing in the project, and then we conduct a very large scale interview. You don't have to. We can do something called street data. Street data is something that you collect on the street. Just ask your students. You can conduct something like empathy interview. Ask your students, your own students. If you have 24, find some 3 students, high, mid, and low. And then ask them what teaching excellence is like. And then I asked my panel member, we have 14 members, I asked them to choose one class, and then asked 3 students, and then they conducted the empathy interview. And then we try to summarize, we have 42 students at the end, because each teacher asked 3 students, right? 42 teachers, and then we 42 students, and then at the end we summarize something. In the eyes of students, teaching excellence is like tasks related to their daily lives. Did you talk about that? Just now I overheard that, right? It's relevant to their daily lives. It's something related to what they see in society, what they experience in society or in their daily lives. And the level of difficulty is manageable. They can do it. A little bit challenging, but they can do it with the guidance of teachers. They can generate more ideas and contribute more when something is relevant to them. If they can see that in society, right, they can have more ideas. And they hope that they can contribute more when they have, ideas in their mind. They want to contribute, okay? So tasks should be relevant to their daily lives and addressed to the level of difficulty. Okay, they can generate more ideas and contribute more. Second, opportunities for peer support. They can, you can see a photo of a group of 4. They can provide explanation to them. Sometimes the teacher explains and the students don't understand. But then when they ask their peers to explain, they can understand. I don't know why. They use their own language, right? Okay, and then they can explain to them, right? So provide explanation to their peers. Offer ideas and compare their answers. Just now, I asked you to compare similarities and differences between your idea and your peers' ideas. In the eyes of students, they hope that they can do so. Okay? And teach them the difficult parts. The good students, the more able students, can teach them the more difficult parts. Sometimes they don't want the teachers to help them. They want to solve the problems by themselves. And the peers can motivate them. Because they can compare with each other. If I can do it, so can you, right? Oh, if you can do it, I have to work hard. You're the less able one. They know, even if I don't tell them, they know who is stronger, who is weaker, right? If they find that the weaker students can do it, they're actually very worried that they cannot do it. It's a kind of motivation, although in the negative side. Okay? So, opportunities for peer support, that means that you need to have some interactions. If you don't have any interaction, how can you do it? Teachers support. Encourage and praise students. Teachers sometimes are very mean, including me. We don't offer our praises to students. We just say good, okay, good, but your good is not actually good. But then try to say it more, right? Okay? Keep them on task. Keep them very busy, especially high school students and primary school students. Keep them very busy in the lesson. Offer intervention. If you find that, okay, they don't understand, really go and listen to them. Okay, especially when they're doing group tasks. we really have to listen to them so that we can offer them support. Provide good examples. Good examples help them model, everything. If you want them to produce the sentences with better grammar or better sentence patterns, you have to provide them a good example so that they can follow. Okay? Make revision notes. Try to summarize your lessons. Try to make thinking visible using your banshu, and then they can make revision notes. You are trying to make revision notes now, right? Okay? Check upon their understanding through questions. Your questioning is very important to help them, check their understanding. If they don't understand, through your question, you will know. So feedback is also important. Provide guidance for peer commenting. So if you want peers to comment, you have to give them some model and more guidance as well. Okay? So teacher support is very important in the eyes of my students. Then what is self-regulated learning? There are lots of different definitions in the world. Here, now, let's talk about theory first. Self-regulated learning is to enhance motivation, okay, through different things. For example, setting goals, control the objectives, self-efficacy. You have to show students that they have to believe in themselves so that, I can do it. Then there's self-efficacy. Okay, I believe that I can do it. How can you do it? Praise them. Praise them more so that they believe that they can do it. Okay? Behavior. So, you have to help them focus their attention, give them help, give them resources, and learning habits as well. Okay? Cognition. Show them how to learn. Give them time to rehearse, discuss, and then come out to present. Ask them questions so that they can elaborate more. Show them how to organize the ideas. Okay, and critical thinking. Ask them why. Metacognition. Okay, they have to plan their goals. They have to monitor their goals. If they find that they cannot do it, how can they seek help? Okay? Adaptation. They need to adjust their learning pace as well sometimes. And then evaluation. They have to think about, whether they can learn it. So in the lesson, don't pack everything. Give them some silence time to think. Just now, I showed you. You have some individual journaling, right? In the middle of this part, I'll give you some time to reflect and evaluate. How can you translate all this into the lessons? First of all, you should have guided learning. When you talk about self-regulated learning, it's not just about self-learning. You have to offer them support. Okay? Scaffolding is very important. Self-learning, give them some time to do preparation before the lesson. Okay? Group learning, you discuss in your group. And then you have some class learning. You show them. So we learn them in the whole class. All these are co-constructing knowledge together. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so all these are very, very important parts to become, SRL lessons. So Zimmerman's part is about theory, but how can you translate that into more practical ways? Through 4 things: guided learning, self-learning, group learning, and class learning. Just now we experienced that. In the very beginning, I asked you to do some individual journaling. That is your self-learning. And then in your group, you share and compare, right? And then after that, we share here, class learning. And then at the end, I show you my preparation. That is guided learning. My explanation is guided learning. So you experience from self-learning, group learning, class learning, and guided learning. 4 types of learning in self-regulated learning. Okay? Now I'll give you 30 seconds to think about that first. You can remember these 4. You can come up with questions. Okay, now, how can you put it in the practice? This is how my school do it. In my school, we have some lessons. We have in the morning we have lessons. In the afternoon, we don't have any lessons. I'm sure that if you came to my school before, you found that all the students have their own preparation. because they can do it in the afternoon. This is one idea that we learned when I visited some schools in China. In many schools in mainland China, we have some time at night. Usually the private schools is that 晚修时间. Yes, right? But of course in Hong Kong we cannot have any lesson time at night. 晚修时间 is at night, right? We try to put it in the afternoon, after lunch. Okay? So we give students some time to do their preparation. Okay? So they have lessons preparation before that. That is learning time. Think about that. If you want to do self-regulated learning, but if you don't have any time for them to do, if you don't assign them some time or lessons to do it, they won't do it. Right? So we have to train, we have to develop their habits of doing preparation. So we give them a lesson to do, usually 15 minutes in a day. And then at the end, of course, you have some post-lesson consolidation. You get them to reflect, you get them to do their homework or assignments so that they can know, okay, I don't understand this part, or you know that they don't understand that part, and then you will give them feedback, right? But then inside class, what's happening? You need to get them to display their learning through class learning and group learning. It's not just displaying their answers. If you remember, when you do self-regulated learning, we are not doing something about their answer checking. You want them to motivate, right? You want them to have some learning responsibility. So when they display their answers here, you're actually displaying their learning responsibility. They have to be responsible for the class and also responsible for their own group. If you don't ask them to display, they are not going to do it, right? They're not adults, they're just teenagers. You need to manage them. They're displaying their learning motivation because you get them to do it. When they are engaged in the task, they will be more motivated. And then learning effectiveness. You know what they understand and what they don't understand. So their answers actually reflect the learning motivation, their effectiveness, and also responsibility. And then you can guide them through your comments and feedback and also questions. So that is self-regulated learning. Okay? This is our definition of self-regulated learning. And this is quite common across schools in Hong Kong. We use this definition in the lesson. And then let's go back to this. You talk about self-regulated learning, you talk about teaching excellence. Are they common? Do they have any similarities and differences? Think about that. So we have to develop an SRL framework. How can you pack it in a lesson, Mr. Wong? Now I know that there are 4 types of learning. I know that we have to display that in the lesson. How can we structure the lesson? Okay, my supervisor is going to ask me to write a lesson plan. How can I organize the lesson so that this is self-regulated learning, right? And I have to put into elements of teaching excellence, right? This is common across all lessons, even if you are not going to do any self-regulated learning. When you teach, you still have to do it, right? You need to have theory of SRL, and you have to take into account of your students' expectation and also needs. So this is the lesson flow in my school. You need to have very clear lesson objectives. And also the lesson objectives should be shared to your students. Do you know why? Make them very clear about what you want to teach. Think about that. If I ask you, okay, today I'm going to teach self-argumentative essay. Okay. And then after I finish the lesson, I don't share my lesson objectives. I just share my topic, argumentative essay. At the end, if you ask the students, what have you learned in the lesson? They learn different things, right? Because you never share your lesson objectives to them. But if you share with them the lesson objectives in the very beginning, they know what they are going to learn, and they will focus on that part, okay? especially Hong Kong students are very pragmatic and practical. You tell them the focus, they will just be focused on that part only. Yeah, this is Hong Kong student. I was a Hong Kong student. I brought up in Hong Kong, so I know that very well. And then you have to get them time to share their preparation. Think about it, if you don't ask them to share their preparation, what will happen? They are not going to prepare because you never asked me, right? Okay, you get them to do the preparation, but then you share your own answers to them. Okay, I'm not going to check your preparation. I'm going to show you the answer because we don't have time, right? Then they will not do any preparation. So get them some time to share their preparation. And then you give them some time to work together, okay? Because you have to display their learning, right? So they have to work together to show their learning responsibility, motivation, and effectiveness. And just that you remember that my students hope that they want to have some peer support. Okay, so you need to have some cooperative learning or collaborative learning, and then display their learning. After that, can you get them to evaluate their peers' work? Okay, before you give feedback to them, do questionings. And then at the end, you can have some benchmark tests or summary or evaluation with them so that they can understand whether they understand the lesson or not. So this is, and in the operation level, this is a very simple lesson plan that we can follow, especially for beginning teachers. Think about 3 to 4 years ago, many Hong Kong teachers left profession, and then many new teachers joined in. Okay, I heard that in some schools, in the English department, there are only 2 to 3 experienced teachers, and all they are new. If then Mr. Wong, you have to get everyone to use self-regulated learning, but they're all new, then how can they follow? So we set up a lesson flow so that everyone can follow. But having all these, you still have to address the core knowledge. What is your focus in that lesson? And then you have to tackle the difficult parts with them. The easy part, you can really get them to share, and then you show the answers very quickly. And then in the lesson, focus on the more difficult parts. Okay? Now, mid-lesson check. How can self-regulated learning lessons demonstrate elements of teaching excellence? How can you relate them together? And then, what may be some possible challenges to you? If you were the teacher, and then you are going to use this framework or all these elements, what might be your challenges? Now, before you share with your peers, individual journaling again, I give you 2 minutes to think about these 2 questions before you share with your groups. Okay, 2 minutes. Some differences. But then at the same time, when you see across all these groups, it's more similar. Can you see that? For example, objectives, and objectives. Oh, teaching objectives. From teaching objective to students' objectives. Learning objectives. I ask you one question. You can bear in mind this question. The difference is, what do you want to teach? And also, what do you want students to learn? That's the first question. When you think about learning objective, you think about what you want students to learn. If you think about teaching objectives, it's just what you want to teach. What's the difference between the two? One is more teacher-centered, right? And then one is more student-centered. Another question I want to ask is, why do you want students to learn? Okay? And why do students want to learn? Now, the first one is, why do you want students to learn? Okay? It's good academic performance, but why do students learn? Do you see the differences between the two? Okay? And the value. Now, there is a term called perceived worth. the students find the values by themselves of learning. It's more about the learning objectives. Okay? Think from the perspectives, and then you can come up with more ideas of what the objectives can be like. Okay? And then you also talk about, support. Support also means encouragement and also praises. Okay? And also guidance. Right? In self-regulated learning, we need a lot of guidance and support. And also feedback. Right? Display of learning as well. Now the challenges. Design for class activities is very difficult. I'm going to show you in the second part. Students learning, what does that mean, group 1?
Diversity of students learning in different.
Oh yes. A lot of, there are lots of types of students, right? And you can see from the task design later on. Okay? Diversity. Bully. What does that mean?
About the peer evaluation.
Mm.
Maybe the students with good grades
Discriminate against them. Oh, I don't want to work with the weak students, right? So it's about the training. So when you teach your English or Chinese, it's not just about teaching your subjects, but at the same time you have to develop their habits. Okay? Get them to work in the way that you want. For example, you have to encourage the stronger students. Why do you have to help the weaker students? Okay? Because it's more about the meta-cognitive side. Show them that if you can teach them, that means you learn better. Your presentation skills can be better. Okay? Your communication skills, your soft skills, and generic skills can be better. Give them the value. And then when you go to work, you will find all these skills are more important than learning your subjects. I was a science student, but now science is not important to me as a subject because I'm a teacher of English, right? But then science taught me the logic and also reasoning. They are forever, right? The bright students like this, okay? Find them, give them the purpose of learning. Engagement. How do you engage your students, right? Right? I'm not sure whether in your cities, the students, are they engaged? No. Few months ago, I went with Alan to Japan, and then we attended a conference. And then we met scholars and teachers from all over the world. Engagement is always a problem or issue, okay? No one wants to learn. No one wants to learn. No, I mean that no one wants to learn in the classroom. They can learn in their Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the social media. Now everything is about, when you have social media, learning has to be quick and fast and short, right? You learn everything from a short video, but you don't want to attend a lesson. They can remember the YouTube video or Instagram video, the reels, better than your lesson, right? So try to minimize our talk, especially when you face teenagers. Try to reduce your talk and increase their time to talk. Then they can be more engaged. Okay, otherwise, think about that. 10 minutes is too long. How long is a real video? 4 to 5 minutes, always. If you watch a 10 minutes videos, you will also skip and fast forward, right? So 10 minutes is too long. Try to minimize it. Okay, so lack of motivation and interaction, I think, is also about engagement. Emergency events, what does that mean? Fire drill?
Yeah.
Really?
And sometimes some accident will come up, like some students got injury or they get hurt, or sometimes something interacts with class, and you can't keep going in class, and they can't be engaged so well.
Oh, they will become disengaged. They're easily distracted by many issues, right? Focus on the large group first. And then if something happening in the classroom, seek help from the school office or other teachers. I'm not sure whether there is a phone in your classroom. Okay, in my school or in schools in Hong Kong, usually we have a phone. Just press a button, someone will come. Okay, so because you want to ensure that everyone should has the right to learn. Even though one student is injured, I cannot stop the lesson because of that injured student. So seek help very quickly, then and then offer them more support, and then you can take care of the whole group. Okay? Time management, yes. Especially with the lesson flow, you find that everything is so packed. Okay? Then try to break the lesson into two. Just like I showed the lesson flow, right? I asked my colleagues try to break it into two lessons. Don't try to attempt everything in one lesson. Otherwise, the students cannot learn. Okay? Think about the students. Think about their pace, not my pace. Okay? Autonomy. What does that mean here? Students' autonomy.
They use their inner motivation to learn to do the things that teacher asks.
Yes. They don't want to learn again, right? So think about something that they will see in their context. Okay? Think about something happening, and sometimes try to create more stories. If they find that it's too boring, think about the stories. And of course, I have some brain break activities. Oh, too boring. I can play some games with them. For example, how? Just like I asked you to volunteer one of you to come out, right? I will ask them paper, scissors, stone, winner, stand up and come out. Or sometimes you have to change. Who is the eldest one? Stand up and come out. Who is the youngest one? Please come out. Okay? Try to have different methods to get them. Okay? If it's still very boring, then just come out, play some little games, spend 1 to 2 minutes, stop the lesson, and then get them to walk around. Okay? Sometimes paper, scissors, stone. Sometimes if I say, okay, this is something that I usually do. Do you want to do it now? I can do it with you. Okay, game, a 1 minute game. Okay, now. You all stand up. When I say walk, you keep walking in the classroom. When I say stop, you stop. Okay, walk. Stop. Walk. Stop. Now this time I reverse. If I say walk, you stop. If I say walk, you stop. If I say stop, you walk. Okay? Stop. Stop. Walk. Stop. Stop. Walk. Walk. Now you understand how this game is like. Okay, please go back to your seat. It's just 1 minute. Then everyone will wake up. Okay? There are lots of activities of this kind. And then you can get your students more motivated. Don't worry that you spend 1 minute, then they will not learn. If you keep them sitting here, they will not learn forever. Okay? So you can think about all this. And different, different levels of students, yes, diversity. Okay, so here, yes, there are many ways to address that, and I'm going to show you. But then, before I move on, before I have a break, usually you have a break, right? I don't think we can last for 2 hours and 30 minutes without a break. Brain break, and also physical break. Okay, so how can we design SRL lessons, essential components? The first thing is if you are an English major or Chinese major as well, we start with the vocabulary. Vocabulary is always the start. Input, receptive, and then reading. Okay, when you have some vocabulary related to that theme, then you can have some longer reading. And then after that, you teach them some grammar so that they can, grammar helps them to construct knowledge. At the same time, grammar helps them to read as well. Okay? Then listening. And then speaking. Speaking is more productive. When you have speaking, you try to recycle the vocabulary, recycle the grammar. Okay? And then at the end, you have the writing as the writing product. Okay, that is how we pack a lesson in Hong Kong. The key elements is you need to have some scaffolding from vocabulary to reading. spiral and recycling. Keep recycling the key vocabulary items. So this is how a unit is like in Hong Kong when you teach English, and similar to Chinese as well. Okay? And then the second thing is the use of learning guide. Learning guide is actually one idea I got in Shandong, Daoxuan. Learning guide is Daoxuan. Okay? And in the learning guide, we include preparation tasks. We get students to do some preparation before the lesson. At the same time, we have some collaborative tasks. And then we have some reflection tasks and extended learning materials after the lesson. So everything is in the learning guide. It's like a script for a play, a drama play. Okay, so it's everything. It's the core of self-regulated learning. You need to have all this. In the lesson, in the learning guide, when you have one section of learning guide, you need to have lesson objectives very clear. In Hong Kong, we usually define the lesson objectives into three. Knowledge. For example, in the two-sided argumentative essay, we want to get students to understand the structural features of the argumentative essays and also language features. What kind of language features? Because we are going to talk about benefits and drawbacks from different stakeholders, different parties. Okay, so we need to give them the language patterns of writing the benefits and drawbacks. It's very exam-oriented, it's very skill-based. And then we have the attitude and value. We have to deliver, instill the value in students. For example, in this unit, in this section, because you are talking about different stakeholders, different parties will look at the things differently, right? But when you share, how can you show respect to them? Okay? They need to show respect to different views when opinions are divided. When you are in that person, maybe you have a very different opinion. Then show students, you need to respect, you have to listen. I give you some time to listen, and then try to compromise or show agreement and disagreement in a more polite way. Okay, it's not just teaching English or Chinese. I think Chinese is easier because in Hong Kong when you teach Chinese, the focus is more on the values. Okay, but in English, no. Usually it's more practical. How to write, how to read, how to speak, right? It's more on the English side, the language side. Okay, so, but still we have to do it in Hong Kong. And then the preparation task, students can complete the task by themselves, very easy tasks. Okay, so we don't spend a lot of time doing that. And then collaborative tasks here. Can you see TEAM? They represent different people in the group. So one student is T, one student is E, one student is A, and one student is M. Jigsaw, it's jigsaw. So it's collaborative. So students work in groups during class, and they have to display their work for PS evaluation and teachers evaluation for the co-construction of knowledge. We are co-constructing knowledge together with my PowerPoint. Okay? So this is how we work using this learning guide. Now, before I start conducting an SRL lesson with you guys, maybe we have a 10 minutes break, is it okay? So we come back at 10:25. Okay, thank you. Here, in the coming parts, you are going to experience that as a student and also as an observer. So here, I'm going to assign 3 groups as students. Okay, maybe group of 3 instead of 4. And then assign your role a TEA, not M. Okay, just TEA. Okay? And then you will complete this set of worksheet, page 1 to 5, very quickly. Because you're adults, I will skip some parts more quickly so that we can have more post-lesson discussion. Okay? Now, group 2, 3, 4, you are the students. You are going to be the Form 5 students. Form 5 students is senior secondary 2. Okay? Senior secondary 2 in Hong Kong. And then, so, one of you will be T, one of you will be E, one of you will be A. Okay, and try to complete page 1 to 5 or 1 to 5. Okay, very quickly. And then group 1 will be observer. Imagine that you are teachers going to observe the lesson. Okay, I want you to identify the elements of SRL in the lesson. And then what are some possible reasons that I design the materials in this way? Okay, And then what are your questions? When you observe, I teach them how to write the argumentative essay. And then let me give you some prior knowledge first. The students learn that when you write an argument, for example, when we write in argumentative essay, they have to write different arguments, right? In each argument, in one paragraph, there should be one topic sentence. You have to give it 1 to 2 sentences of reasons, okay? And then they have to give an example to support the reason and also the topic sentence, okay? And then at the end, ending sentence, what does that mean? You can talk about in the future, okay? What will happen? Or if something is done, then what will happen? Okay, so that is the ending sentence. To conclude that, paragraph. All the students are very ready and they are very used to this structure within one paragraph. Because in Hong Kong, when they write argumentative essay, they have to write 400 words. 400 words. If they have to write 3 arguments, for each argument, they have to write about 120 words, or 100 words, 100 to 120 words. Okay? If they have to write 4 arguments, because in two-sided argumentative essay, they have to write 2 benefits and 2 drawbacks. Okay? So for each paragraph, they have to write about 75 words to 80 words. Okay? So now this is their prior knowledge. Get it? Now I give you you don't necessarily do everything. Okay, because I'm sure that you can quickly see that and see the answer. You are not students after all. But I want you to pretend yourself as students. I give you 5 minutes, you can complete some of the tasks from from page 1 to page 5. Okay? You can write something, write some keywords. But when you act as a student, of course, you will give me complete sentences. If you are the observer, I want you to do the task as well, so that when you observe the lessons, you will be more engaged. Okay, I give you 5 minutes to complete the task from from page 1 to page 5. Because of the time, okay, and also because of your ability, of course, you are the high achievers and you are the teachers. So when I treat you like a student, I will also skip some parts, and I assume that the students have already learned the the structural features. So I will skip that part very quickly. Okay, as a recap, I assume that you can go through very quickly. But in the lesson, I actually teach it in a more detailed way. But I just want you to experience the flow and also how the lesson is structured. Okay, so now class, your group 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here today I'm going to introduce self-driving cars and the two-sided argumentative essays. So the self-driving car is going to be introduced in Hong Kong. Okay, very, very soon. And in some spots in Hong Kong, like Tung Chung or near the airport, there are some self-driving cars testing. Okay, so here, today, my focus is here. I want you to read aloud the lesson objectives. Okay, we are going to understand, 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, whole class, we are going to understand then the structural features and language features of an argumentative essays. So structural features, yesterday we talked about structural features. Today I will focus more on the language features. We are going to write and elaborate. Whole class, we are going to write and elaborate the benefits and drawbacks of an issue from different stakeholders. So when we talk about self-driving cars, we're going to talk about the benefits and drawbacks from the perspective of different people. Maybe to the government it's very good. Maybe to residents, people in Hong Kong, very good, maybe. Or maybe no. Okay? What about the taxi drivers? I don't know. Okay, I want you to think about the benefits and drawbacks in the lesson. And of course, when there are different views, you have to show respect to people when you have your discussion, because opinions can be very divided sometimes. Be polite when you share, okay? Here, you are a member of the robotic clubs and you are asked to write an article discussing the pros and cons. Now, pros means benefits or drawbacks? Benefits. Cons means the drawbacks. So, of introducing self-driving cars in Hong Kong. Okay, so here is 1 minute talk as a starter. as a starter of this lesson, I want you to discuss in your groups, okay? What do you know about self-driving cars? What are some possible benefits? And what are some possible concerns or drawbacks when the government introduces self-driving car? Okay? Now, no, don't do it in a group. I want you to walk. Okay? Find one partner. You have to stand up and share. Okay? Just one partner. Find one student in another group and then share. You can go around the classroom and discuss. Everyone will be given 1 minute to share. Do you see what I mean? Okay, you have to keep that non-stop. You have to share 1 minute non-stop. For example, okay, self-driving cars are cars that have no driver. And one of the benefits is that blah, 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 blah. And another benefit is that blah, 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 blah. Keep talking for 1 minute. And then another student will go. Okay, so everyone stand up, use 3 groups, and find one partner from another group. You can go around the corner and discuss in a pair. Okay, stand up please. Go to find one partner from another group. In each group, there will be 2 students speaking and answering my question. Paper, scissors, stone. Okay, the first loser do not have to answer my question. Okay, so paper, scissors, stone in your group, in your own group, group 2, group 3, and group 4. Okay, paper, scissors, stone. And then the first loser do not have to answer my question. Paper, scissors, stone, go, 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 go. You 3, one group. You 3, one group. Just paper, scissors, stone with your own group. Yes. No. Just paper, scissors, stone in your group. Who is the first loser? Okay, so you 2 answer my question. Okay, who is the first loser? Okay, so you 2 answer my question. Okay, what about this group? Who is the first loser? Okay, you don't have to answer my question. Okay, now, so talk about one benefit or one drawback. Okay, let's start with this student. One benefit. Okay, so what is the benefit of self-driving car?
I think self-driving car can protect our environment, which means it can save fuels and less gas pollution.
Okay, so we can reduce pollution.
Yes.
Okay, so you are talking about people in Hong Kong. It's good for people in Hong Kong. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, because it's about the environment. It's about everybody, Hong Kong residents. So we can protect the environment. Okay, so next student, what about you? Benefit or drawback first?
Drawback.
Drawback, okay. Who is it about?
The cost.
The cost.
Yeah.
Okay, can you elaborate? Can you say more?
I think the self-driving cars need a higher gear, so it can't be used in most of the area and for most of the people.
So it's bad for the drivers
Yes.
because the cost is higher. Okay, so it's about driver.
Yes.
Okay, more expensive, right?
Yes.
Okay. What about that group? Group 4. Okay, so benefit or drawback first? Benefit, okay, yes.
The efficiency of transportation. Because the self-driving cars can plan the routes according to the public transportation information, like which place is stop.
Okay, so it's about driver. They can give you more information about the transport. Okay, so the traffic. Okay, so it's about drivers. Okay, know more information about the traffic and where to go, right? You don't have to find the route.
Choose the best route.
What about the next student?
Benefits.
Benefit. Okay, so what is the benefit?
I think self-driving cars can promote the road safety.
Promotes the road safety. So who is it good for? The government or the people in Hong Kong?
For the people in Hong Kong.
Okay, so road safety. better road safety. Do you agree? Oh, some disagree. Is it better? I don't know. What about you?
For the disadvantage.
Okay, so the disadvantage.
For the actually residents, they may in the employment may be reduced.
The
Employment.
environment.
Employment.
The employment. Oh, employment. We become unemployed.
Yeah.
Why?
Will lose their jobs.
Why do they lose their jobs?
Yeah, the drivers, yeah. Taxi drivers or the bus driver.
Okay, taxi or bus driver.
They lose
So
their jobs.
it may be related to taxi drivers and bus drivers instead of Hong Kong residents. They will have no jobs. Okay, what about you?
Yeah. And I like to talk about the advantage.
Advantage, okay.
Yeah. If the self-driving cars can be put into the countryside,
Mm.
remote area, then can have the local residents go and outside the area more convenient.
Okay, it brings convenience,
Yeah.
especially if you don't know the road, right? If you don't know where the self-driving cars can help you. So you're trying to talk about different people, right? Hong Kong residents, drivers, bus drivers and taxi drivers. Okay, so today, as I said in the very beginning, you have to think about different people when you think about the argument. Who can be the different parties about self-driving cars, apart from taxi drivers and also Hong Kong residents and also drivers. Can you go to page 3 of your learning guide? I skipped this because we learned this before. Okay, who can be involved in this topic? For example, common stakeholders, maybe the doctors and hospitals in Hong Kong. Why? They can be involved in this issue. Why? Maybe there can be more traffic accidents. But just now you said that there will be the better road safety.
I said the doctors and hospitals, I think, because people get hurt, in traffic accidents.
Okay, people will get hurt in the traffic accidents.
Then people get hurt in traffic
For self-driving cars
accidents. Normally.
or the normal cars. Okay, so for better road safety, if we have self-driving cars, it may be good for doctors and hospitals in Hong Kong. Okay, what about other people? Now, I want you to share because I assume that you did your preparation, okay? So, can you share with your group, try to come up with as many stakeholders as possible, apart from Hong Kong residents, drivers, taxi drivers, what else are involved? You discuss with your group first. I'll give you 1 minute to talk with your friends. Time's up. Now, just now, one of you haven't answered my question. Right, it's your time, your show time. Okay, so let's start from group 4 first. Okay, can you give me one stakeholder?
Maybe the officials in the organization.
Official of the
Officials.
government official.
Yeah.
Okay, government official. Maybe government official, right? I mean the government. Yes, the government. What else? Industry. What kind of industry? Okay, the car manufacturers. Car manufacturers, they produce the cars. Is it good for them or bad for them? Why good? More profits, do you agree? Maybe yes, maybe no. Think of Tesla, yes. Right? You know, who is the boss of Tesla? Elon Musk, right? He has become the wealthiest person in the world. Wow. But maybe for some other manufacturers, maybe it's a disadvantage, right? you have to think about the reason. I'm not going to share the reason because you can write your own argument. What about you?
We thought about parents.
Parents. Oh, interesting. Why parents?
I think it's good for them because if they are in a hurry, they don't have time to send their children to school.
Wow, interesting argument. I have never thought of that. Yes, they don't have to send their children to school. Just put them in the self-driving cars and they go.
And then they will come back.
And then they will come back. Yeah, save my time as a parent, right? Wow, it's a very good idea. I never thought of that. Interesting. Now, Mr. Wong has prepared some of the answers, and just now you also mentioned Hong Kong residents, Hong Kong citizens, or you can call them the general public. Okay, in your writing, if you have 3 arguments talking about the Hong Kong residents, try to use 3 different terms. Okay, you will get more mark in the exam. Second, the drivers. Just now you also mentioned the drivers. The government. Don't just use the government all the time. As a language teacher, I will show you the authorities. Also mean the government. Authorities. Okay, and of course, it's very good that you also talk about car manufacturers and also parents. Wow, it's a stunning idea. I've never thought of parents. Yes, very, very good. Okay, so the car companies, right? Now, here, we have all these stakeholders. What does that mean to you? Mr. Wong, sometimes I don't have any ideas in writing. When you talk about benefits and drawbacks, I can only think of the government all the time. Now you know who you can think of. Okay, if you have to write 2 benefits or 2 drawbacks, one is for the government, one is for the car manufacturers. Then the benefits and the drawbacks, the bus drivers, okay, the parents maybe. Then you have 4 different people, 4 different groups of people, 4 stakeholders. Then your ideas will be very rich. Do you see what I mean? It's easier for you to think of the ideas of drawbacks and benefits from the side of the different perspectives. Okay? But then how can you package them? You have to write a very clear topic sentence. After all, we have to deal with the exam. When the examiner, when the marker read your essay, the first thing they will look at is, are you talking about the benefits or are you talking about the drawback, right? Then how can you show them you are talking about the benefit? How can you show them you are talking about the drawback? The first sentence is very important. One of the key advantage or disadvantage. Do you discover that Mr. Wong used different words for advantages and disadvantages? What words did I use for advantages? Benefits. What else can I use? In the very beginning, when you read the topic, we start with a word with P. Point? Pros. Yes, pros. What about disadvantages? Drawbacks. Cons. Right? Or sometimes you can use pitfalls. Okay? The upside and downside. Okay? Another disadvantage is that you have to write 2 arguments for benefits and 2 drawbacks. Start with this topic sentence. Oh, then Mr. Wong, I don't want to use the word key. What word can I use? Can you give me some easy words that means key? Main. Yes, main. Core, yes, core. Significant, important, primary. All these are words that you can use for the word key. Okay? Exam, remember, different words. Okay? But the point today is, you need to think of the different stakeholders to talk about advantages or disadvantages using these language patterns. Okay? Why? Where do you use it? T, R, or E, or E? Where do I use these phrases? Do I use it here, here, or here? Topic sentence. Yes, very good. These two parts is about the topic sentence. The first sentence, the reader read, right? So you have to use these two into the topic sentence. Do you get what I mean? Okay? So, here is the things that I talk about. Apart from that, when you talk about the disadvantage, you can say the major drawback is that major, right? Despite the fact that another benefit, another drawback is that, okay? But, I skip this very quickly to you. Now, how much do you understand? Can you show me your finger? One finger, Mr. Wong, I don't understand what you're talking about at all. One finger. Two finger, oh, I think I understand. No, zero, I don't understand at all. One, I understand with the help of you. I need more help. Please give me more help in the next part. Two, my groupmates can help me. I understand a little bit, but my groupmates can help me more. Three, okay. If I have more practice, I'm sure that I will be very okay. Four, now, Mr. Wong, this part, I'm confident that I'm okay. Everyone show me your finger. 0 to 4. How much do you understand? Show me your finger. 1 to 4. It's okay, I'm not going to check on you. Okay, even if you put 0, it's okay. Oh, 4, you understand? Oh, most of you say 3 or 4. Good. Now, in the next part, you're going to do some practice. We finished talking about the language features, right? I'm talking about the language features here. And also, you talk about the stakeholders, right? Now, it's time for you to write. You're going to write and elaborate. How do you elaborate? Use the tree structure that you learned in the previous lessons. Okay? So, here, I want you to think of different stakeholders. If you are T, think of T. If you are E, you think of E. A and A, or M or N. Okay? Now, in your group, share very quickly. I give you only 2 minutes. So you can talk about one benefit and one drawback from your perspective. It's okay if you haven't done it because you're a very fast learner. I'm sure that you can do it by saying, okay? So, I am student T. I have to think of the government. One of the key benefits for the government is that, okay, we can help reduce the pollution. I can save a lot of money from protecting the environment. The reason is that we have to spend a lot of money on protecting the environment every year, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to say all because you will copy me. Okay? So, but another downside is that there is a lot of opposition from the car manufacturers. I have to listen to them, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, I give you 3 minutes in a group of 3. Share from your perspective, one drawback and one benefit. Okay? Now, 3 minutes, go. Now, don't worry. Of course, when I go to my students, I give them more time to do it. Okay? But I'm sure that because you can instantly type something, then I don't have to spend a lot of time discussing. I just show you that I will have this part. Okay, so now what I want you to do is you have to use your mobile phone or iPad to scan this QR code. And then if you are student T and E, when you write the government, when you write about the benefits for the government or benefits for the new drivers, when you write about the government and new drivers, you talk about the benefits. Okay? But then if you are A, if you are the Hong Kong citizens, you talk about the downside, the drawback. Okay? On the Padlet, this is a Padlet. When you write, use the tree structure. I need 4 sentences. Start with, one of the key benefits is that, okay, the government will blah, 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 blah. Okay? And then give me the reason, example, and ending sentence. I need 4 sentences. If you are the new drivers, one of the key benefits, one of the key advantages is that the new drivers will blah, 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 blah. Okay? If you are student A, one of the main disadvantages is that Hong Kong citizens will blah 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 blah, and then TREE. Do you see what I mean? Okay, you can write 4 sentences separately instead of putting them into one paragraph so that it's easy to read. Skip one line, type the space, and then go to T and then skip one line, and then R, and then skip one line to E, and then skip one line to E. Do you get what I mean? Now, I'll give you 3 minutes to type. Eyes on the PowerPoint. Now, what I'm going to do is, I want you to do some peer evaluation. Okay? If you are the taxi driver, if you are the government, you go to the next group of governments. So if you are group 2, you give comments to group 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 2. Okay? Government to government, drivers to drivers. Do you see what I mean? Okay, because you write on the same person. Government to government, driver to driver, Hong Kong citizens to Hong Kong citizens. I'm aware that one of you put down the elderly. It's also the Hong Kong residents. Okay? How do you give comments? Can you look at the left-hand side? I appreciate that things that you write, you think that they do well. And then you have some question. I wonder, blah, 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 blah. Okay? You can give them some question. I suggest that, blah, 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 blah. You want them to write some part more. Then you can say, okay, I suggest that. But at the end, make sure that they use one of the key advantages is that, or another disadvantage is that. Make sure they use the pattern. If they don't use the pattern, then you have to give them some suggestions how to use the pattern. And then the second thing you look at is whether the topic sentences match the recent examples or the ending sentence. Sometimes you don't match them. Okay? And then you type on the comment part. There is a comment part in here. Okay? Do you see what I mean? I suggest, I appreciate, and I wonder. 3 things. 3 short keywords or sentences. I give you only 2 minutes. You may start now. Some comments. This is one very good example. Now, from the Hong Kong citizens, one of the major benefits is that the self-driving cars bring more convenience and timeliness for people to travel around. Are they talking about the Hong Kong people? Are they talking about the people in Hong Kong? In the world, yes. Now, can you be more specific then? Of course. You give some reason here. Why is it good for Hong Kong people? Okay, why? Now, but then, this student used one of the major benefits. She can use the key phrases here, right? With the change of key from key to major. Advantage to benefits, very good. And then, apart from searching and driving, people can get the suitable routes to their destination and customized tourist tracks from the self-driving car. Now, if you have to focus on Hong Kong people, why can it bring convenience to Hong Kong people? What are the characteristics of Hong Kong people? What are the think about the characteristics of Hong Kong people? Why is it convenience to Hong Kong? Easy. Hong Kong people are very fast-paced, very busy, right? We don't think. We need everything handy, easily accessible, right? No patience sometimes because we need to everything, me, okay. We need to be very quick all the time, right? Very fast-paced, right? Hong Kong is a very busy city for Hong Kong citizens. That is the ending sentence, okay? Now, the only thing that in the exam you can write more is about the reason part here. For this student, she can basically achieve everything. But if you want to get higher mark, you have to be more specific about the suitable route. Why? Okay? So keep asking yourself why when you want to elaborate the reason. But this is a very good example and very well written example. Okay? Now that is my comment for this student. I picked one student as an example for you to think further. Okay? But basically in the lesson I will choose more. Now let's go back to the lesson. Imagine that I finished talking about the comments part. Okay, I want you to think about, we finished talking about writing and elaborating the benefits and drawbacks. Okay? Then, at the end of the lesson, I want you to think about that. I used to think, before the lesson, how did you think about writing argumentative essay? And now, after this lesson, how do you think about writing the argumentative essay? Okay, now, without too much thinking, talk to someone next to you. What do you think? I used to think argumentative essays are blah, 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 blah. Now, I think that when I write argumentative essay, I can blah, 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 blah. Okay? Can you share with your friends? Okay, time's up. Now, imagine that I finished that lesson. Okay, now let's go back to university. Let's go back to EDU. Post lesson. Very quickly, just wrap up our lesson. How do you feel as a student? Okay, you have to think of one word or 2 words, no more than 3 words. Okay, how do you feel as a student? Wait, as an observer. Okay, what do you notice? Give me only 1 sentence. You can say a little bit more because they have been talking a lot, right? Now, how do they feel first, okay? Observer.
The teacher showed the purpose of the whole class and will let our students know what they have to do for the next step.
Okay, so show the purpose and the next step.
I think the whole procedure, the class procedure is very smooth and every instruction was very clear and every student can do what they need to do and know some structures or something.
So they can know the structure. Okay. The flow is very smooth, according to that one I gave you.
Mr. Wong provided very good scaffolding tools for the students, like the structures and stuff, and very clear guidance. And students are aware what they're doing.
Students are aware of what they are doing because I have to put everything on the blackboard. And this is co-construction. I don't have an absolute answer. I don't have a marking scheme for that. I just write this with you. In my own lesson, the students will draw this mind map with me. And then they have a lot of input before they do the, time's up.